Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterlands universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. We can finally say another week, another episode. Here we are, 2 in a row. Welcome back to the co-host saddle, my good buddy Fat Jimmy. What's up, Jimmy? Always good to have you.
Jimmy. Good to be here, Jimmy. Once again, thanks for having me.
Of course. And our good friend Stever. We were just talking off air a little bit about the last couple of months, and Stever was saying he wasn't really feeling like doing content because he wasn't seeing guys like us doing content. Well, it was 100% mutual. I was looking at you. I was looking at Infidel, kind of waiting for one of you guys to start churning out the content again. And yeah, well, here we are, a couple weeks back into the season, second episode of season 4. So welcome back. What's up, Stever? Always great to have you, man.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. Great to be talking to you. I did hit, a bit of a content, rut. That's all there was to it. It was like, do I want to make those videos again showing people how to play the game or how to buy cards or how to do this or how to do that? And then one of the things that I think, this one town hall a month, one town hall every 5 or 6 weeks when it gets delayed over the last few months has hurt content production, because there were, it used to be every week, let's do an episode about the town hall and then try to do something about try to do 1, 2, 3 other videos. And, everybody's making 7 videos a month. Now you make one on the town hall and then you're up to yourself to go figure out everything else that you want to do and cover and do. And, I've been a lot more active on X. I do a lot more tweeting. I'm following the people who are doing the tweeting. You can see that is where Blaze is spending his time, I think, is to get more engagement on those social platforms. So I just got into kind of a thing of like, oh, I'll just follow the Twitter stuff. I'll just tweet, and I just won't make a lot of videos right away. And the other joke I was telling, I didn't really mention to you guys, but I started another channel with my kids where we make Roblox videos, because I've been playing Roblox with them. And because I make YouTube videos and they watch Roblox YouTubers, they're like, we want to make Roblox videos. Awesome, so now we make silly little Roblox videos and we post them up on the channel, and it's fun. They have a good time with it. Sometimes I feel a little goofy role playing in a Roblox video game, but it's good times and stuff like that. So,
how many followers do you guys have on that Roblox account?
I think we're up to 7. So
nice.
Well, what's the channel, Steve? Let's plug the Roblox channel, dude. There's a bunch of folks out here who have kids. I'm sure they'd follow along.
It's a variation of the Roblox family, but there's so many of those. Yeah, but it's the Roblox fam with a dash, and our mighty channel with our 7 subscribers. So I'll drop it in the chat just so you have it. But it's kind of awesome. It's kind of a funny thing. It's funny because you play these little Roblox games, and I play them with them, and sometimes I go like, man, if we could just have a couple Web3 games that were this good. and they don't have the TCG games in there, but they have the little role play worlds. They have the little shooter games. They're similar, like they're like almost like a super simpler version of Fortnite. Some of the games, where like one person's a murderer, one person's a hero, everybody else are innocents. Maybe that's kind of similar to that. I don't know. It's kind
of makes me think of Among Us. Kind of.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like Among Us, and so if the killer kills the hero, they drop their weapon, and anybody can pick it up and shoot the killer. It's kind of an interesting little game, but I'm like, geez, these games are kind of like playing Web 2 games again, even ones made for kids. It makes me look at some of the stuff we have in Web 3 and go like, man, you guys got to step it up. So it's kind of an interesting thing to be doing.
Mm. Yeah, so a couple things I want to kind of, start to tug on from that little intro there, Stever. Number one, the frequency of town halls. I think we have to step it up, man. It feels like I think the correct cadence is probably bi-monthly. We should get two a month. Uh, maybe it's more of, what Aggroed and Weirdbeard were doing before they parted ways with Splinterlands, and it's more town hall, inviting community guest speakers and just having more of a casual chat. But getting in front of the community twice a month, I feel like it has to happen, especially now when we've got so much coming down the pipeline. I think back to, over the last 3 or 4 months, I feel like my emotions with Splinterlands have been a little bit of a roller coaster. Like we just because we just don't know. Like there's so much stuff that is being played close to the chest, and everything's cooking, and we've got a million things going at once. Well, when the mind is given the chance to wander, I don't know about you guys, but when we don't have news, it kind of feels like the natural inclination is to
Nothing's going
believe
on.
nothing's going on. Exactly, Jimmy. So, just having that FaceTime with the team, especially when we were coming from a world, you look back 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we were still speaking to the team every week. I feel like maybe that was probably a bit overkill, and those guys have better things to do than always fielding questions from the community. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think for on a number of different levels. One, it feeds the content creators. We always have something to talk about. And two, just for the peace of mind of the community, and it gives a very quick feedback loop for the team. If we don't have polls, we don't have the town halls to really gauge sentiment. Well, the next best thing is putting in one more touch point on a big scale level, something like a town hall or a um what was Weirdbeard and Aggro's thing called? I forget what they called it.
It was like a community one or something, but it would make sense for Blaze to step in and maybe do that show. Like a marketing driven town hall where he can bring on some of the people he's working with, introduce them to the community on the channel, have a chance to maybe highlight your show. If I started doing videos again, who's doing a lot, maybe even if Gold Matters can get on there and talk about all the stuff he does on Twitter or X now. And even if it wasn't a show, it would be content. And you can recap any kind of content. So any kind of show can turn into, you know, 30 people doing a show about the show and just spreading it out there and stuff. And so that would be kind of nice to see. Because I can understand, maybe you don't want to pull Matt, you don't want to pull all the devs and like the leaders of the community, the leaders of the company to come and do a town hall twice a month because there probably is some prep time for them to get stuff ready, or there should be. But it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I
Yeah,
would like.
definitely more. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. No, it used to be incredibly engaging. That was one of the things that just keeping people engaged was huge. That was something that, Aggie was really good at, was just the hype guy and talking to people once. I mean, that was kind of what got me in early on. The fact that there were those weekly, there used to be the AMAs, before they were called town halls, was Ask Me Anything. And the fact that these guys were, and it was just Matt and Aggie on there, and the fact that these guys who were running this business were up there once a week, just talking with the community and asking answering any question anyone had, and kind of just state of the union type thing. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's next. Here's how we're progressing. It just felt very, I don't know, personal, like it was a very like a strong community situation, and it's part of what made me trust those guys and trust getting in here.
I completely agree. I mean, the level of transparency that comes as a direct byproduct of like that cadence of community facing engagement is huge. And that's one of the things that drew me in too, was we have a front row seat to having conversation. Obviously if the community grows again to a place where where we were when I first came in, I think, maybe your voice gets drowned out a little bit, but you still have the opportunity of posing your questions and your voice being heard. It kind of I think it serves as great balance to what we've seen with the DAO voting system. In the town hall, we're all equal. There might be certain perspectives that are kind of associated with certain account names or IGNs or Splinterlands personas, but at the end of the day, we're all on equal footing when it comes to the town hall. Like, my question is just as relevant as somebody who's holding 40 million plus SPS, and it gives the team. I think the tightening up the feedback loop is one of the biggest things for me, and obviously having that higher frequency of community facing conversation is a great way to do that. So Blaze, if you're listening, let's go, man. Let's get those spaces going.
Yeah, it would be interesting because there's always usually a couple of people who'd be willing to come and talk, especially if they get to promote their own channels and what they're doing. You got a few guys who are doing quite a few things in the space still. We've got that new girl who's doing streams on X. I forget her name, but
Yuli?
Yuli. And so
Tofu's recruit?
Yeah, there's just people that would the community will show up and do those things, especially if it's just one other stream a week or a month, and it would give us a little bit more going on to cover, because definitely the single town hall also, it makes it so sometimes it feels like they don't get to talk enough or ferret out every single idea or everything that you're doing. Like this last town hall was amazing. Andrew was just going and going and going, and I want to get your take on him. But then Matt had to kind of cut him off and say, "Hey, don't be so long. Let's make sure we have time to get to the other things.
Yeah,
we got other stuff to do." And then you don't get it. Then the end of the show gets rushed, and that's where I told you guys I heard that little bubble about possible SPS inflation to play for survival mode, and I was like, wait, what? And then they just kind of moved past it, and I'm like, well, I hope that's not true, but we'll see what happens here with survival mode going live tomorrow, with them funding it for a little while, how popular it is, what the rewards look like, and then when it comes time for the DAO to fund it, how the DAO is going to do that funding. I think you in our little pre-talk, we all said use some of those billion tokens you have, but I don't know if that's what they envision doing or not.
Yeah, I will say I've had, I don't know if this is public knowledge, so forgive me, Blaze, if it is not, but I know he is planning on trying to ramp up the Twitter Spaces, and he's in a little bit of a middle ground time zone between you guys in the States and me in Asia, which is another great positive side effect of having somebody like Blaze run that stuff, because he's in European time zone, so that opens up new opportunities for folks that maybe don't have the time to hop onto the town halls, even though the town hall is somewhat flexible in its timing of delivery. But yeah, I love the idea of Silence would be a great one to feature at the moment, because he's kind of highlighting the new player experience. What does it look like going from brand new account to Diamond, and how is he implementing his glint purchasing strategies and all that sort of stuff to share, alongside the big marketing push, which is hopefully going to bring in new players. So yeah, I'm all about it, man. I would love to see every other week every other week we've got something to put in front of folks.
Yeah, and guests would be great. Like I would love to talk to some of the other third party people too, like Jarvie or Asgarth over there would be fantastic. Anyone like that. Love to hear what they're doing in an
Totally.
official context. I mean, they've become so vital. I mean, I can't even imagine we wouldn't be able to do most of what we do without those guys building those third party platforms.
Could you imagine having to manage multiple regions through the Splinterlands UX UI?
It would be
Sounds
impossible. I still use the
miserable.
Axler Twin Blade. Axler Twin Blade has the best display, man.
Yeah.
His plot display makes it so easy to be like, all right, what do I need to do? Where do I need to optimize a grain plot? It's literally impossible on the Splinterlands website right now. There's no way to see what cards are doing what, where your totems are, where titles are. As far as I'm aware, you see what your PP is, and that's it on that big screen. This just shows you every plot in like this beautiful animated, picture rectangle. It shows you what cards are on there, shows you titles, totems, what it's making, how much it's making an hour. You can be like, ooh, I have an extra gold foil rare that's at level 7. I could pop that over here just to scooch up the PP on that grain plot a little bit there.
Mm. Yeah. Shout out to our third
Yeah,
party developers, man. I agree.
yeah, for sure. I
100%.
have to admit, like, I very, very, very rarely use the Splinterland site for like financial stuff. I'm always on Peak Monsters for any of those kind of things. And now he's going to be running the validator software at some point here in the near future, which will be a big win for a lot of people, depending on how he does it. Because I have my one license and I haven't got a node up yet. Mostly because I haven't had time, and they said that it was still, and they didn't have a really good deployment kit yet. You were really going to have to read through the stuff and have some technical skills. And I'm like, oh, that does not sound like something that's going to take me 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they had originally said it was going to be pretty easy to do, so hopefully that's true. And I'm still not sure. There's some confusion as to whether we'll be able to delegate licenses, or is that I had heard both. I had heard that we won't be able to delegate licenses, and then somebody said that they're pretty sure we will be able to delegate licenses. So
I haven't heard. Have you?
I think it has been confirmed that you can. So I think
good.
yeah, so I think Peak Monsters like original vision for how validator operation is going to work is still in play, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And they could also limit how many, licenses go on a node if they're worried about spreading it out a little
Yeah, there
more.
should be some limitations because
Mhm.
part of the idea of it is to get some decentralization um, of your nodes so that they're not all running on the same service and not all of your licensors are everywhere. But at the same time, if you only really need your top 21 to be strong and spread out, then I guess you can deal with a decent amount of delegation because there's a lot more than 21 licenses that have been
Oh
bought and
yeah.
purchased,
I'm
right?
sure we're
So
gonna have, I'd guess way more than 50 nodes easy running, just from people I hear talking about, and people who know how to set up their own node, people who are going to be providing, private service, node hosting service and stuff. And yeah, I think we'll have
yeah,
plenty.
I definitely want to run it. I just need to do all the math and the calculation, figure out where I can run it. I don't know if I'll do the one through Peak Monsters because I'm worried too many people will. But at the same time, if I have to pay for like a $10 server to get $2 worth of SPS, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I
Yeah,
got to
just buy
figure all
10
that
bucks worth
out.
of SPS. Be better off.
Yeah. so so I
We
just
have to
gotta
change that
look into all
narrative,
that.
dude. That sucks.
Yeah. Well, how
Well,
do we do
Steve,
that? By
yeah, more
cranking SPS. And
players.
how do we do that? New players. Come on, Jimmy. Let's
Well,
go.
for
I
for
wish I
those
had
of you that
closed.
are looking at the node stuff, I know Rondon, I think is that right, Jimmy? Rondon is
Yep.
firing up some third party service for node hosting as well.
Yes, rumor has it.
Yeah. So there are options.
I heard
Yeah,
Jangles
yeah,
was
and
in some nodes too.
it does make sense to have some kind of deals because if you're going to a service provider to get 10 servers, you get them cheaper than if I go to get one, you go to get one, somebody else goes to get one. So It makes sense to have, some. I just want to make sure that we have. You don't want everybody using Peak Monsters, right? Because then every single validator might end up in the same cloud.
Yeah, no, I would love to run one here if I could set it up on an old Mac. I have a typing issue on my Mac. It kind of broke after a couple of years. It still works fine. You just has issues with certain keys sticking or the space bar not working, but definitely usable. I would love to run a node on that if it's possible. And have a bunch of licenses. I think I have like 13 or 14 licenses myself. I have some friends and family with some licenses, so it would be great to just have running a node here, have a computer that's pretty much always on and just doing it, supporting the system that way.
Cool. You guys are a little bit more technical than I am. Is there something to be said for, to avoid the decentralization that you're kind of presenting as a potential issue, Steve? Is there a way for Peak Monsters to counteract that from a technical perspective and get cloud space elsewhere throughout the world?
Yeah, obviously it depends on what he's doing. Because this is the one problem, right? If the more you buy with any one producer, the better discount you're going to get on your cloud system, and how much power it has, right? So you'd be incentivized to put, if you're doing 100 licenses, just to do them all with one provider in one location. You might be able to have that provider let you split them up between 2 locations, but it still would be one provider. And so if you're using a cloud provider, cloud providers are subject to their governments. So it's a flaw in decentralization of your crypto project. If all your servers are hosted on Amazon, for example, just as an example, and the US comes to Amazon and says Splinterlands is a no, you guys can't run these servers, SPS is bad, they're just going to turn you off and ban you, and all your validators are going to go offline. That's why it is good for some people to run them in their house, some people to run them on, some of the crypto storage projects, some people to run them over there. And I have a feeling that we'll have enough of that. Just when, one of the biggest projects in the game says, hey, we'll host your server if everybody runs to him. And then on their back end, you'd have to know what he was doing. He'd have to tell us, is he putting 10 here, and there? Is he putting them on different providers? Is he doing all of that kind of extra work? Or are they just getting a really good deal to do it with one person, which allows it to be profitable? That's the other thing, right? Because I've ran master nodes in the past, and pretty much every single time I got into one of those projects, you ran the node, and then after about 6 months, the token went down. If you got lucky, it lasted that long. And then your node was not profitable. So the only way you would run it anymore is if you have a love of the project, because you're spending more to run your server than your server is bringing you in. And so that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Literally.
So yeah.
Sense with a C.
So we'll see what happens with the whole validator thing. I don't know if anybody's done the math. Like, does running one license make a lot of sense? Do you need to?
I think the math has been done, and it says no, one node is not at this point profitable based on, like, I think it was like a $15 a month server cost or something along those lines.
Yeah.
One license will not cut it.
Is that something else that's getting fired up tomorrow with the update?
Yes.
Is the license rewards are getting powered back on?
Oh.
No, they're going to actually 2-week delay on rewards. They're going to run the nodes for 2 weeks without the rewards being issued, so people have time to get them up and get them running. I don't know how it switches over to functionality. To be clear about what you said before, you said you guys are more technical than you. I am not. You're definitely more technical than me with computer stuff. Steve is more technical than us, but I am certainly not. So I have no idea what it entails. Like, do they run it? Is it just like a cold switch? All of a sudden, everything's on these SPS validators, and we just hope they work as they're supposed to, and everything's cool?
Well, we're already on the SPS validators, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah,
I think that was the big switch. That's why the update took 5 or 6 hours or whatever.
Did
on the last update.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, so SPS is running on the chain. That's also why like
Nice.
the Ethereum bridge for SPS is down right now.
Ooh.
And so is something else because those coins aren't on SPS chain. They have to be that all has to be moved into, or they have to make a bridge from Ethereum to SPS chain for those to work now.
I hope that
So
happens.
yeah,
I was sitting on like I think it was like 178,000 SPS that I took out of that ETH SPS LP when the rewards went away, and it's just sitting there in ETH because it would have cost like hundreds of dollars to move it because of gas
yeah.
fees. So I
Yeah,
never
because
even
so
moved it.
eventually they're gonna turn that bridge back on so that you can transfer it from ETH into the SPS chain. But for now, I've heard that got turned off. I think even BNB's off. I don't even think
Ooh,
you can buy
wow.
SPS on BNB and transfer it into the game. I could be wrong, but have you either? Well, I'm not really buying SPS right now. Are you guys
No.
Yet.
anywhere? Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting time because in theory, all of the external chains now have to be, all the internal deposits have to be set up to transfer coins from those chains into the SPS chain, as opposed to however they were doing it before. So,
Well, those are some
but yeah, that
concerning niggles that need to be sorted, right? Like if in the grand hierarchy of things, I would say that needs to be near the top of the priority list if new players and marketing push are coming. Like we should be supportive of all
Mhm.
these
yeah,
bridges
I
that
don't know.
were
Oh yeah.
previously in
Let's
existence.
see if I wanted to
And there's that
deposit
proposal up now for
SPS.
bringing in building the fiat on ramps. I'm
And
actually
that would be
up on
so
all.
huge. It's not going to
Yeah.
affect me,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Taiwan is not included on the list of approved countries, which is not necessarily surprising. Most folks don't even acknowledge Taiwan as a country, but
It's going to be
for
China pretty soon.
yeah, let's avoid that one. I might be coming home. I might be coming home if that's the case. We will see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
I wish I was joking, but hey.
I wish
Oh
you
well,
were too.
it does look like they're up. So I don't want to FUD. Maybe you can still transfer in from those,
Did they do an update
but
this Tuesday that may have addressed that?
Um,
maybe
I think they did enough. I don't know. I don't know if they held off or if they did a small update Tuesday. I want to say they did,
Well,
but
maybe it's
I
today.
notice every Tuesday. Yeah.
Tech updates. It looks like there was what was Tuesday, the 25th?
Hmm.
ugh,
Yeah, so it
it's a
looks
big
like
meet.
next update maybe they pushed this week's update to I don't know because they originally they only do updates every 2 weeks, right? So maybe that's coming tonight's update.
I think they do weekly updates, don't they? I'm pretty sure every Tuesday gets an update.
I don't know. It's usually middle of the night my time, so it doesn't really affect me. So I
Ah,
don't
yes,
really.
it's morning my time. It's like mid-morning my time. So I'll
Well,
be
that's kind of
right.
interesting.
Okay, I'm off.
All my wallets got removed, which I hadn't noticed that on the site. Like I have to
Ooh.
re-add my Ethereum address, re-add my Binance Smart Chain one.
Hmm. Let's keep it rolling here, guys. So we something else that and before it slips my mind, something else that you brought up, Stever, that you wanted to kind of dive into, and I'm keen as well, which is coming in this update for sure, is the removal of DEC on leaderboards and what are the side effects? How do we think this is going to ripple out to the affect the player base and what is the overall response going to be? Um, I've got some thoughts, and as somebody who has somewhat recently hired a full-time scholar, I know where my scholar stands. But I would love to hear some speculation. Stever, why don't you kick us off, man? What do you? Let's start at the high level there. What do you think of the change, and then we'll kind of trickle down from there.
Yeah, well, it's a change I've been kind of behind and been pushing the team to make a little bit. Not that I have a great push on them anymore, but for a lot of us out there, this is the last really bastion of DEC inflation that is really mostly sell pressure. because to be at the top of these boards, you have to have most of the stuff in the game. So when you get that reward, you probably aren't putting it back into assets within the game necessarily. That's where you're probably getting your ice cream money. Or if you're using a scholar, you're having to split that money, and he's doing that definitely for a financial reward. We do know that some of the best scholars in the game are pretty well known within the system. Um, their names are out there. They play anywhere from 2 to I think as much as 4 accounts, maybe even 5. I don't know for sure. And so what this has created in the top of the champion leaderboard is, it to me it's diminished the game a little bit. It's hard to be competitive against guys who are professional players who also get to play more games than you get to play because they're playing on a lot of accounts. I got to a point where, like, for a while I used to be a champ 1 player, and then I just got knocked out of it. And part of it is natural. I didn't play as much. I wasn't competitive enough. But then when I was trying to get into it and I'm playing in champion 2 and I'm getting near the top, and then all of a sudden I'm running into the same guys but on different accounts, and that gets a little frustrating because you know it, you learn it, you realize you're playing, your last 10 games you played 10 different accounts, but you maybe actually played 3 people. They have drastically higher ratings than you, and you don't usually beat those guys. If you're somebody who hasn't really been studying the game and knowing those optimal lineups for each rule. So the question is this going to change that? Are those professional scholars not going to be able to spend the kind of time they were spending to be that good in the game, to play that many accounts, if there isn't that DEC financial reward coming from the leaderboards? Maybe some people will still pay them. Be interesting to see what you guys are doing. But I have to imagine then, if you're not getting DEC, you're going to have to be buying DEC to pay for them. And if you are doing that, then maybe this is good for the game for that reason. But it's going to be a definitely interesting time. And if they do all quit and these arrangements fall apart, what are some of those whales going to do that didn't have the time to play these extra cards that they have?
Jimmy?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. My scholar hasn't done leaderboard chasing in a while. He's doing mostly a lot of tournaments and modern play, just in general. And that's because I didn't go big on Rebellion right out of the gates, plain and simple. And then he's also been saying lack of certain cards, a lot of those promo cards. You kind of need those to be, again, that introduces the whole pay to win aspect where you need a lot of these promo cards that, again, those top accounts have, but not many others do, to win. So we haven't been chasing leaderboards in quite a while. I do know of some people who are up there who are, it's kind of a last straw situation. We've been taking rewards away, and ability to actually earn anything, I want to say tangible, but yeah, tangible, substantial, something you could actually trade or, benefit from outside of your account, something that's not locked into your account. And it's a last straw move for a couple people that I've heard. So I'm not sure how it's going to affect everything.
Yeah. I can see it kind of shaking out one of a couple of ways. Losing access to yet another tradable reward sucks. I don't think there's any way to slice it that first it was soulbound cards, and then it was SPS in chess, or
Packs.
DEC in chess,
Nope.
packs in
Yeah,
chess.
no packs and chests. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we've fully shifted to everything being soulbound, which I think we've kind of addressed it over the last, the pendulum has been swinging this direction for 2 years now since we got introduced soulbound cards. I think we've swung it a bit too far, and I would love to see the return of and Matt's called this out as something that he wants to address and reintroduce into the game. He feels like, maybe I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth, but from what I've understood from what he has offered on in terms of his perspective on the situation is that he feels like we're at a place where it's probably okay to reintroduce non-soulbound cards in some sort of capacity. Well, I think we're at that place now, and especially when I will say I love the idea of leaderboards coming back. I don't think that's the full answer of what the community has been calling for since leagues were removed, but it's a step in the right direction. I will credit the team that way. But also I hope that shifting leaderboards from DEC to Glint means also tomorrow when I wake up and look at the Glint shop that there's a slew of new tradable assets available for purchase via Glint, which would solve the concern that you raised, Steve, which is, how do you pay a scholar when you're not getting DEC? Well, if you're getting Glint, you can still buy, some tradable assets. Maybe they're more valuable, maybe they're more scarce, and they're harder to come by. But that essentially just means that the price point on the other end is going to be higher, in theory. So maybe that's
perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps.
But one of the things Matt did say when he talked about what was going to go into the shop, he did say more things that would be like putting better things in, but not everything he said when he started mentioning that for sure was going to have monetary value. Like he did say more titles, so another set of titles going in, and those do have a value. It is driven by land, and we do have the new land game coming out soon, which we haven't talked about, but still. There is some value there, but he also talked about like glimmers and possibly things for survival mode and some other things. So it'll be interesting to see. I do hope that some better things come into the Glint store that do have some value.
They
So
did say
maybe that
titles.
is going to be a key to it, but I
Yeah,
just don't know for sure yet.
he did specifically say he wanted to get more titles in there, but he kind of implied that that was it. He wanted to prevent low-level players from, I guess, quote, extracting, and said he wanted to keep all of that at the top end. Again, it's that focus at the top. He said titles that would be tradable. Someone asked a question about that, and that's when he clarified a little bit. But yeah, it seems like all he's thinking of at the moment is expensive titles for top players to be able to get any type of tangible value out of the leaderboard system or out of the Glint shop at all. And titles are also, the last round was restricted. You could buy one of each type. I bought one of the lower, 1 million Glint. At this point, I would have bought all of them. I'm just stockpiling Glint because I've got all the cards basically. I bought one of those low-level titles. I was like, let me buy another for land. Nope, you can only buy one per account. So,
I
yeah,
really
it's
don't
not.
like the idea that the rewards are exclusive to the top ends, guys.
No, that's brutal. That's what the game has
Well,
focused on.
do
Top
we
end
still
for
have
so long.
jackpot rewards? I feel like I pulled a
Uh,
beta pack not that long ago in the chest.
Yeah, but isn't it okay, so I run a silver, almost strictly silver account. All my summoners are silver level with the exception of some of the soulbound summoners from the last set in wild botted. And I can pull, I struggle to make it through batch one of any of the chests. And I don't touch the ultimates. I buy majors and minors and maybe a few card draws here and there. Uh, the percentage chance of hitting a jackpot reward is minuscule on major and minor chests. And when you're not even making enough glint to make it through the full of one batch, I feel like it's, I don't know. Like I said, man, I feel like the pendulum has been swung too far. I think we need to especially considering, we talked a little bit about this last week and in episodes past, when the price point of Splinterlands is what it is, it's the most expensive game
in the
on the market.
world,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
maybe
You guys had a
some
very
high-end poker.
interesting conversation with Rogue about that last week. That like was interesting because I think even through Rebellion, the guys who were here early, we were kind of free rolling all the money we made off of Untamed and able to put large amounts of money into these packs. And this is going to be the first set when Carne Asada comes out here that I have to make that decision. Like, do I want to bring outside money in a pretty large way if I want to be super competitive? I've still been making money in crypto. I still have set aside about like $2,500 in profit from other projects that I could bring into Splinterlands, but that's not
Well,
enough,
that's
right?
a
If I
silver
want,
deck right there.
yeah, yeah. If I want more, I gotta bring more.
Mhm. Well, to be fair, I do
So
know people who put in outside money for Rebellion. Quite a few. There was still outside money coming in for that stuff. Yeah, there's Jangles raising his hand. A lot of people did. And I also know, I'm actually shocked looking around some rooms and some private rooms and some other things where how many people are literally coming right out and saying, I am not buying carne asada at $4. Like I'm shocked actually. I was like, ooh, and then once someone says it, other
it's
people
hard to
chime in.
justify though with 1 cent SPS. I mean, it just or sub
We're not
1 cent
even. Well, what are we
SPS.
at right now? 0.0065, I think. Is that
Yeah,
a
should say
fair
half a cent
SPS?
SPS, right?
0.005 right now. All right, let's do a little math here.
No.
0.005 SPS. How much is the average win in modern? I want to say like 30 SPS if you win,
I mean, maybe
roughly.
that's with your multiplier, Jimmy. I'm so my scholar has gotten me the highest rating I've ever achieved,
Hmm.
quote unquote, I've ever achieved, uh, 5,800 plus, and the last handful of wins all sub 30 SPS, and I've got maybe
It's like 25,
500K,
25-ish.
25-ish, yeah.
Okay, let's go with 25. That's what I get in Wild. So if people are botting Wild or playing Wild, I get about 25 even with my big multiplier. You've got a 500, what'd you say? How much SPS staked?
I'm playing with about 500K to my
Okay.
to my account.
So it's about 25 SPS per win at 0.005 cents here. Boom. That is 12 and a half cents worth of SPS per win. You could do 25 matches a day. That's $3.12. You're supposed to win half by design, so divide that by two. That is $1.56 in SPS a day if you play all of your matches and don't get or buy any more energy. For a week, $10.94 a week times four, $43.75 a month. Okay, times 12. Ooh, you can make $525 in SPS a year off that $7,000 deck
Hmm.
if you play with it. So that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
I mean that is, to be fair, that's, and I'm not
That's with low
countering
price
your argument,
SPS.
but that's purely ranked, right? Like there's also tournaments, there's also an
Yes, that is
influx
purely
of,
ranked. That is
yeah.
purely ranked. Yeah.
There's
But
also
again, tournament, it's not going to be most people winning tournaments. There's a handful of people that,
also true.
dominate
Yeah.
tournaments.
Yeah, I would say I don't win any tournaments.
Yeah.
But you
As
get
someone who
paid
just
out.
plays the game kind
You
of
get paid out.
casually.
You'll still earn some
Uh,
SPS for competing
Yeah, a
in
little bit.
tournaments.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
oh well, I don't even play tournaments
Oh,
to tell you
well,
the
you
truth.
should. That's fun.
But so,
But
yeah,
also
it's ranked. So that's
conflicts.
525 a year. Yeah,
Conflicts
yeah.
is another piece to be accounted for there. Like, if you land a gold foil, airdrop, or something like. But I mean, your point is not lost on me. I think, I
Well, let's go
shared
up.
with a couple guys on the team my idea of variable pricing, where it's something like a $2 or $2.50 base price for the pack with SPS where it is, and if SPS goes to 15 cents, maybe packs go up to $5. Which I
That's rough on
think,
the credits, though. For people who bring in outside money with credits, that's a kick in the nuts. It's a rough situation. But let's
well,
just
no, because
theoreticize
it would
a
just be
second. Like if
market.
SPS goes up.
It would just be
No, go
market.
ahead.
Yeah. So the idea was, anywhere between 2 or 250 as the base price and $5 on the top end. Uh, looking at the price of SPS playing the key variable in determining what is the pack price, looking at, taking into account something like a 14 or 30-day moving average, to kind of account for any market volatility. I think there are still ways to game the system, but I think we have to get outside of the idea where the answer is either $2 or $4 packs. I think we need to take into account, the price point has to be comparable to the value on the other side of the reward. And I'm still holding out hope that, Andrew and I think his name is Scott, is the other Illuvium guy, and Blaze are doing their marketing due diligence and looking at the industry and looking at the market and saying, hey, the price point has to be more reflective of the reward. Because, I don't say it in jest that Splinterlands is the most expensive game on the planet. Like you look at all the other Web3 stuff, I've got almost $20,000 worth of assets in Splinterlands, and it's 99.9% modern cards plus SPS.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's just a
Yeah.
few years of playing the game. Like that's two sets of cards. Yeah, I have a handful of purely wild cards, untamed stuff, and I have less than a dozen land plots. But yeah, and we're on the cusp of being asked to support Conclave Arcana, and it's it's not
And a
cheap,
new
man.
mode.
Yeah,
And a
it's
new
an
mode.
interesting time because I can tell you where I'm at. I am definitely not going big on packs. I played Rebellion different than I had any of the other sets where I only bought 1,000 packs. I bought everything else secondary off the market, and I bought things when they went on sale. I played without things, cards that weren't important. I didn't max out until they got really cheap. And now I have close to a max set. I think there's like a couple of the cards you never use that I left it like a level or two off max. And it was a much cheaper way to get a set of playing cards than buying the packs. I didn't have as much fun opening the packs. I don't have a big stack of Rebellion packs that I saved to hopefully flip to have money for the next set. But I am now sitting here where I'm like, okay, the new set's coming out. The super cheap set is going away. I'm not going to lose to a Kelly Deck Modern anymore because I forget to forget the Demon Shark Kelly deck that just shows up all the time, and I forgot that it was coming, and it retaliates me to death. But
RNG,
that's gonna be gone. But depending on the sales of Carne Asada of Arcana, this new set, my Rebellion set with my maxed Rebellion rewards cards might be very competitive. I might not need to pick up a lot of the other things. I did spend the money to get the legendary summoner cards, maxed out with the what do you call it? I have all of them. The only thing I didn't go for all the I got all the airdrops. I didn't get all the promos. So, but overall, I think my deck is relatively strong, and then I'll just spend money on the few cards that I need to stay competitive, as opposed to really just going ham on the card
Packs.
sales this time.
Pre-sale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly how I played the Rebellion sale. I did not participate in the pre-sale. I had cash stashed aside. I had every intention of supporting the sale through individual card sales on something like Peak Monsters. And there were a few cards I went really heavy on in the opening hours of Rebellion being live, including Manceroth and Grimbardoon, and I think I paid $1.60 or $1.80, something like that for Grimbardoon, and that obviously paid significant dividends in the next 4 or 5 months when he dominated the meta. But I do want to offer a little bit of clarification here. So looking at the the max set value of Rebellion right now, $6,300, and granted that is just the core set. The set is out of print. If you look at the last 6 months of set value kind of average, it's probably closer to 5,200, but it's still, it's a very expensive set, and that would be right around 10% of the rewards at current SPS prices. The calculation you did earlier, Jimmy, $500 a year.
Yeah. Well, let's just be fair and look at that if SPS goes up. So I mean, SPS hits a penny, you're talking that's $1,050 a year in SPS in rewards, because there's no other rewards at this point. $1,050 a year. If SPS hits a nickel, $5,250. You're getting a little bit more into realistic terms there. If SPS hits a dime, 10 cents SPS, $10,500 a year in just in SPS earning. And if that's the case, that would make it a little more realistic to make that kind of investment and continue investing. Use your winnings to buy the next set, basically, and then have a little bit left over, a little bit of ice cream money.
I think you also have to, I mean, and in the name of fairness, I think instead of a year calculation, we should probably be looking at 18 or 24 months, because I will be able to use my Rebellion cards for, I would assume, 3 years-ish in Modern, right? So you're not just investing for the current iteration of Modern, but also once the current set cycles out, once Rebellion goes to Wild, I'm still able to earn from my Rebellion investment. So yeah, in the name of fairness, it's probably closer to 18 to 24 months on that thing, but still, current SPS prices, that's between $750 and $1,100, which is not super great.
And well, one of the things that's kind of interesting when you looked at that value of all Rebellion, and it ranging from 4 to 6K now, to buy packs of Rebellion and get close to a full set. I think on the low end, you're talking 3,000 packs. 3,000 packs cost you $12,000. Now you're gonna pull some golds, and if you liquidate them, you can get some of that money back and maybe lower your cost of your packs. But if you bought packs on Rebellion to get your max set, you're definitely underwater probably, unless you got extremely lucky on your openings and pulled multiple of the really good gold foils and then sold them.
Yeah, at peaks. I mean, that set, to be fair, that set value does not account for, there's another $4,500 that's tied into the promos, right?
Yeah,
that's true. So maybe by now you're sitting there where you're like, okay, between my winnings and what I have, it's I'm even. But that's maybe that's okay in a TCG game, and it's not a terrible story to tell, but it's still the amount that you have to put in. It's a big ask. Hey guys, come spend $12,000 on packs, and in 18 months after playing the game with everything you have, you might be able to leave and have $12,000. I mean, that's not the worst story in the world if people like our game.
That's a big
but
ask.
It's not a crypto story,
Well, there you're making a great point there, because one thing that's kind of concerning about this whole new marketing push is Andrew was like, "Hey, man, we're focusing on Web3. We're going Web3. That's our target audience," and we just pulled another anti-Web3 move. I mean, you could say theoretically we're Web3 because we're on blockchain. I know that's been argued in town halls that that's what we are. So we're a Web3 game. Don't even say otherwise. But the reality is a lot of these Web3 gamers need to get something out of it. They need some type of potential ROI. They need to be earning actual tradable rewards. And that's been just systematically cut from the game. I'm wondering if we can actually succeed in marketing a Web3 product at this point.
So,
I know the hope. Or you want to go?
No, go ahead, Stever. Tell me.
Well, some of the hope I think they have from the timelines they've laid out is they're hoping to do their pre-sale and I don't know what the terms of the pre-sale is, but I think they're hoping that it's going to give them a chance to get DEC to par, have some SPS pumping because of some burning and some stuff that's going on there, and then have the marketing start. And the marketing is going to be talking about DEC at par, SPS pumping, pre-sale sold out, come join Splinterlands. Because it sounded like to me the marketing was set to start right after the pre-sale, that they're going to be really requiring the current player base to sell out the pre-sale. And, just naturally, if we all have to go buy some DEC to get into the pre-sale, if we can, it's not that far off of its peg right now. I've seen it lower. So if it could get pushed back up, and then people are burning SPS, and SPS maybe gets to like, I don't know. I mean, would it be crazy to see 2 or 3 cent SPS during the next sale? I don't think so. And then that's their ammunition to go into the Web3 crowd with. Look at this game, brand new set of cards out, tokens on the upswing, come play.
That's a gamble, though, man. Again, like I'm shocked at how many people I'm hearing saying I'm not buying packs at $4. I'm shocked. Like I did
Well,
not
aren't we
think
getting
it
a dollar
was
pack or no? Am I wrong?
Well, that doesn't really count. That's not like that's 5 commons and a rare. It's a starter pack. That I'm not buying dollar packs. That would be I hate to say it, that'd be stupid. It's great for a new player who wants to open packs and only spend $1, sure, but I mean, obviously, it's going to be way more cost effective to just buy cards off the market.
Is it though?
buy
Because I mean, a
pack.
gold common or a gold rare, if you've got a stockpile of potions, like I have 15,000.
There's no
No
golds.
gold foils.
No
golds
golds in those. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I think
then yeah.
I don't know about the starter packs because I think it could go both ways. It's interesting that it's something else that I think Rogue brought up last week. We didn't really dive into it, but it's an infinite pool of starter packs, and I
Yeah, I
think
didn't even know that when they said that. I was like, oh,
yeah, I think the
sorry.
concept is that
Well, it's
even
not
after the set sells out,
right? It is even after it's the
I think
sellout.
so. I think
Yeah.
the
That doesn't
idea
make
was
any
as
sense.
long as CA is in modern, the starter packs are available. I think. I could be wrong, but we
I
need
don't know if it was
to get a
modern.
new
I think it
update
was
from.
until the next set came out. I think as long, even though this packs, the boosters might be sold out, you were still going to be able to buy.
Oh,
the
that's what it
starter
is.
pack.
Yeah, until the next set
Yeah.
comes out.
And then the next set would just roll over.
Okay, that would kind of make sense then.
But yeah, I don't know
Because
if
you don't ideally the packs are going to be on sale until almost the next set comes out as well, unless we get a big influx of players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's something else that we have to change is I'm really tired of not knowing. Like it feels like things are kind of fly by the seat of our pants. I want to know now what is the roadmap for the next 3 sets. Okay, Conclave Arcana launches April, May of 2025. That would mean the next set, the new set in Modern is launching maybe December 2026. We should know what are the plans, and we should be working backwards from that to try and make decisions about all this stuff. And if we're gonna have a big batch of promo cards for Conclave Arcana, I want to see what is the timeline that these things are going to be made available, versus last time it was just like, oh, here we go, proposal's been passed. The next 6 months you're seeing 2 promo cards every month made available. Yeah,
At
so
insane prices. At insane prices.
yeah.
And the starter pack also creates kind of, I just thought of this now, kind of a potential, another, shout out to Vedev who points this out, the feel bad scenarios that we keep putting into the game, where it used to be a lot of feel good situations with all the rewards and things you could actually get. Now there's a lot of like feel bad things. And I'm picturing a new player coming in saying, no, I'm going to buy these starter packs. Buying, starter packs at $1, maybe put in a couple $100 in, or actually putting substantial money in, and then realizing, well, shoot, I could have gotten these on the market for way cheaper because it is just commons and rares in these things, no gold foils.
Yeah. I mean, if they roll, I would guess that summoners are going to be included in the starter pack since it's geared for new players. So you
Yeah,
might
if
be
there's
able
common and
to,
rares, yeah.
yeah. And then there's, I would guess there's going to be a couple cards like, the non-attack rebellion cards are historically have been very, very valuable for the average common. There's a card like the Moxian Rebel, which is really great. So there are kind of, I'm expecting there are going to be those kind of feel good cards that you're pulling.
Sure,
But
yeah.
if you're looking at Rebellion as a whole, there's maybe you're rooting for maybe three or four commons and a couple of rares. Otherwise, it's a total crapshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, I think the feel good part of starter packs to me of a new player is like for the guy with like $20 or maybe $30, and they come in and they go, I could buy five, six, $4 packs, or I can buy 20 starter packs, get 100 cards in the game, and then still have $10 to go to the market and buy maybe that epic card, maybe a legendary card, depending on the prices, to round out my little collection that I get for starting the game. And that's kind of a better experience for a new player who's only got $20 or $30 than saying, "Oh, I ripped 4 packs, I have 20 cards. What do I do now?"
I would agree with
May,
that.
Yeah.
Not to mention you're getting five starter packs with the purchase of your spellbook, right? So you're getting 25 cards right out of the gate. So for let's just call it an even $50. For $50, you're getting, a grip of starter packs, and you're getting credits back with your spellbook purchase, and you're getting I think there's an SPS delegation that's included in that. I would guess that the team is going to pick up where Tofu has kind of been running thus far with his promotion to bring new players on. Maybe not to I would expect not to the same extent that Tofu is. Tofu is really rolling out the red carpet for new folks with two max splinters of Chaos Legion cards plus a big old SPS delegation, and then there's um some kind of tiered rewards. If you spend $100 in the market, you tick a box and you get an additional SPS delegation for another month, and there's stuff like that, and I would expect the marketing team to roll out something similar, something comparable to really soften the landing for new players and make it feel like a sweet spot that you're getting started from. um but yeah, it's an interesting time in the world of Praetoria, man. And to Jimmy's point, there's been a lot of names that I was really surprised to hear that they are going to be sitting on the sidelines for Conclave Arcana, and myself included. I've been very vocal about the idea that I'm going to take Steve's approach. I'm going to look for those key cards that are probably going to be must have right out of the gate to stay competitive, but otherwise I'm not going to be rolling in $5,000-6,000 like I did with Rebellion. um I might roll in 20% of that, and try and continue to keep myself in competition on the leaderboard. uh but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy 100 packs, 200 packs, because it's always a fun video to do to open 100 packs, see what you get, make some content like that. But I'm not coming in with the approach here that I'm picking up 1,000, 2,000 of these packs. Um, at this point, just because the pack, like, unless you get really lucky, if you're only buying the minimum of if you're not buying, if you're not a whale buying 20,000 packs, the RNG just really decides
Decimates
whether or
you.
not that purchase was worth it or not. And I know I remember I just accidentally opened my Rebellion packs at the same time the YGG guys were opening their packs. And I didn't know that. And so there was another whale opening like they were opening what like 20, 30,000 packs. They were
Oh
they
my
were just
God.
flying through max opens over on their channel. And I'm like, wow, my pulls are kind of bad. Like for how many packs I opened. I did not get very lucky. And some people afterwards told me, yeah, you can't be opening those packs at the same time as somebody else opening way more than you, and they were getting very lucky. I went and saw their stream, and it was kind of an interesting atmosphere to go through. And yeah, I mean, Rebellion. The one thing that saved me in my Rebellion stories, I got lucky on the airdrops.
Mm.
I got as many as like 5 more cards than I was supposed to on a couple of them. So
What would
that
be
was cool.
cool that I would like to see is leaning a little bit further into the fact that we are a blockchain game, and I can go look up your pack opening history. Well, why don't we cut out the middleman there? And if Stever is opening up 300 packs, I should get a notification in game say, hey, your buddy Stever is opening up 300 packs. Do you want to watch the opening? And I can just,
That'd be cool.
yeah, that'd
Pop
be
it
a
Yeah,
up
cool
that
on
would
little
be cool.
That'd
touch.
be freaking
And it
awesome.
would also let me know, hey,
Yeah,
somebody's
push pause
opening
on
up.
on
Push
your
pause.
opening.
There's
Yeah,
somebody else opening. Not only are you not going to get any views on your live stream, your the RNG engine's going to be flipping out right now trying to figure out what to do. So maybe just hold off a minute. So
yeah.
yeah, and one of the things also we'll see with this marketing campaign, is anybody going to start to lean in? And this one's kind of hard. Like, can Splinterlands lean into the TCG game market? I know they didn't sound like they want to aim for it yet, but can we make that inlay? Because from a TCG point of view, if I look at my account where my cards are worth $32,000, I have 200 lands, so I don't know the exact value on those. I don't think they're shown here. I got a handful of totems and titles and other things. So all in all, maybe $40,000 worth of cards and stuff. And I don't know if I put $40,000 into this game. So just from a TCG game point, I played a lot of Magic in my life. Those cards are just in a box in the garage. I played a lot of Versus in my life. No idea what happened to those cards. They're just lost. I've played a lot of other kind of games a little bit. I never got into Pokemon. I was a little too old for it when it came out and too much already playing Magic, so it just didn't appeal, which is a bummer because apparently that was the one you wanted to own old cards in. But
Yeah.
the
I think the TCG market is the potential to hit that is it would be crazy not to. I know it's that they didn't say they're not going to do it. They just said not yet. But I think that was probably one of our best chances of bringing in, hundreds of thousands to millions of players is hitting that market.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that kind of perked my ears up on the second, and I went back and listened to the opening hour of Town Hall a couple of times after we rounded out our episode last week, and that's one of the things that really stuck out to me as interesting, and perhaps a bit of an oversight. I am not a marketing guru. Uh, my background is customer relationship and that sort of stuff, but I have to wonder if completely overlooking what both of you guys are calling out in TCG players, the majority of players around the world, they operate either tabletop or Web 2 strictly. And I wonder if it's an oversight that we are not kind of double edging our initial marketing push to include some of the TCG guys. What did that kind of perk your ears up, either of you guys, in terms of, are we doing the right approach? Are we taking the right steps to go strictly Web3 first and then Web2 at some point down the track. I mean, I kind of feel like I think Andrew talked about 5 or 6 different avenues of potential things that he's going to be pursuing, things like tournaments and streaming and ambassadors for the game and that sort of stuff. All of that I think is going to be structured strictly for Web3, but not necessarily safe to assume that Web2 is going to respond to the same levers getting pulled. So
Well, they might
yeah,
not even see it. Like if you go pick some of the better live Twitch streamers and you tell them to run a weekly tournament for their subscribers, that is a ploy to get you some of their subscribers into your game, right? If you need if you go like, hey, look, I'm doing a tournament, it's $100 prize, it's only for my subs on my Twitch channel, but you got to play Splinterlands. So here's where you can come in, you can play for free. They're all going to get introduced to the game. They're all going to have to create accounts to come and play, even if they're going to do tabletop mode. And even if everything's going to be free for the tournament, they're going to have to make an account. They're going to have to come to the game. If the prize is big enough, they might even require a spellbook purchase. I mean, if it was a bigger prize, like $1,000 tournament or something, but the that is going to work to get you crypto native people inside of Splinterlands and playing it, and even maybe playing it weekly, right? Because the idea is every single Wednesday is Steve's $100 Splinterlands tournament on my channel. You come every Wednesday, we play Splinterlands, somebody wins $100. And so it's a returning engagement, forcing you to come and play Splinterlands again and again and again. And you go, well, maybe I should just play this on my free time so I can win that $100 tournament. and then you start getting into the game. That's what I think he pitches with those guys. I think that'll work to get people here and get them engaging. Then we just have to hope the game is able to hook those people. I don't know if Web 2 or TCG player, Pokemon guy, Magic guy is ready to come into Splinterlands and really be sold on it that this is just a TCG game in the on the blockchain. Just come, you're going to buy your cards, you're going to play your game, you're going to be able to play with anybody around the world that you know, against players all over the world, and your cards are going to be digitally owned. They can never get damaged, they can never get lost or in a box your mom sells when you're off at college and then you come back and your Pokemon cards are gone. But the that kind of stuff is a compelling argument, but it is, and they're used to an expenditure. A Magic pack does cost $4, but what they're not used to is leveling up of cards. So that's the thing that I think is the biggest drawback.
Which is why leagues should come back, because that allows entry points for people, right? And I mean, you got people like Silence who came straight from MTG, boom. I got a friend who plays Magic all the time who just joined the game about a month or two ago. He loves it. He loves the fact that it's this cool, I think it really does appeal to those TCG guys, especially the Magic guys. They just don't know it yet, and they're afraid of the whole blockchain thing. That's why marketing it more towards Web2 players as a TCG game is probably a good demographic to really be trying to hit. What you were saying about all the streaming, that's great. I definitely think that should be a huge part of what we're trying to do, but I don't think it should be all of what we're doing. I don't know if it's supposed to be all of what we're doing, but I think that should be one facet of many for a successful marketing.
Yeah, that was his tournament aspect of what he said he was going to do. He did say they had a lot of things. And what I do think that he's going to do, he's going to get 10 to 20,000 people in our game playing. The question is, will those 10 to 20,000 people stay and will they buy things? Is really what I think we have to figure out, because he's got a track record. He knows how to do it. He knows how to get Web3 eyeballs to look at projects and get them to come and play them. He knows how to do the YouTube channel stuff, the Twitch stuff, all of those type of things. He's got a lot of experience with, and I do think we're going to get a big influx of actual people coming and touching our system. The question is it going to be, are we going to be able to keep them here? And I do think that starter packs are going to help. I think a new tutorial is going to help. And if it's easy to get it and stake it, which I don't think it totally is right now, because you can't buy it in the game directly, so it makes it a little bit hard. SPS is cheap at least. So, if you're like, oh, I need to stake 10,000 SPS, at least if you go and look at it, you're like, oh, it's not that much money. So,
Well,
um,
okay, so I mean, we're saying numbers anywhere from 10 to 20,000 to, ideally well into the six figures.
I don't think he said that.
No, he was
I
thinking
mean
more
that's
like,
what Jimmy.
I think 10. Well, that's what I would like. I think 10,000 was the kind of like top of the guesstimate he was given, if even that much.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if we use that number and just focusing on Web3 stuff, to your point, Steve, I think the bigger question is what is the conversion rate? Because right now we've got a place, and we talked about it a little bit last episode, the free to play version through training and through challenges and the occasional ghost card tournament, it's better than it has ever been. You can come in and enjoy the game for free. Obviously, you're not earning rewards, with the exception of maybe tournaments. Uh, I don't think it would be you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that would say if we had 20,000 free to play players come into the game, that would not be a win. I think it's a massive win, right? Like
Yeah, massive.
yeah, it's attracting eyeballs. And at the end of the day, some of those, whether it's 5 or 10 or 1%, some of those folks are going to turn the corner. They're going to get converted into paying players.
Pay to play, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if we get 10 to 20,000 people and we're getting, I think a 10% conversion rate is not unreasonable. That's double, tripling our current player base right there.
Yeah.
Which would do massive things for the
Yeah.
card market. It would do massive things for SPS. And then, even if there's, 0.5% of those guys that turn into somebody like a Tofu or a Vugtis, all of a sudden it's a completely different story. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think what he's doing this round of marketing, focusing on Web3, really trying to push it in, letting you know, hey, we're not going to get to 100,000 players. 100,000 players is for the best games in all of Web3. Even if you guys think you are there yet, you're not. And we are still a niche kind of game. So he was setting our expectations. In my mind, Jimmy hit it on the head. Like 10,000 to 20,000 at most would be a very successful thing. But in my mind, that's players playing the game. I don't know if all of them are spending money, but they're playing the game and probably spending a tiny bit of money. And then if you actually have an active player base that big, the thing that changes for us, it's YouTube videos starting to get views, it's Twitch streamers starting to get views, it's tweet, the Twitter guys who are already doing kind of good, but finally breaking it out of, my feed's full, your feed's full, but we follow all of these people. So that if we can get those kind of eyeballs into the game, that's where hopefully you can go that next level up. The one missing piece I have for me is getting them to buy SPS, because you got to get them to buy it. They have to go buy it on an external market, deposit it into the game. I wonder if that's going to change, because I know that we weren't
ramp.com is going to change that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I voted for that proposal without reading it yet. So
yeah, it's big.
Yeah. So if you can directly on ramp SPS, that's going to be helpful. That's solving a problem I wasn't seeing how they were going to get around, because I'll come to your site, I'll play your game, I'll buy your spell book. Oh, I need SPS. Where do I go to get that? Oh, I got to get a crypto wallet. Oh, I got to fund that crypto wallet. It's too much of an ask.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Well, so the premise is that this would replace Transact. So all within Splinterlands, you can you can purchase this stuff. And yeah, I think for all of those reasons, this proposal is looking like it's going to pass with absolute flying colors. I think it's at 97-98% approval rate right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, everything
I
Steve
know
was
we're
just talking about.
okay.
No, go ahead, man. I mean, it's a
Are
snowball.
are any of you guys thinking about playing the possible what's the better buy today? Because Matt brought this up. Is it DEC at 0.76 going into Arcana and the possible pump of that? You know, that's like what, 24% if you're doing it as a crypto trade. Or do you buy SPS expecting that SPS is going to go from 0.0067 to maybe 1.5 to 2 cents by the time this sale's rocking and rolling?
I mean, that's 15-20% on DEC, or a 1.5, 2x, 3x on SPS.
On SPS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting because Matt was saying he needed to buy a bunch of I need DEC for land 1.75 possibly. I need to maybe activate some more land. I need to, because right now I'm running at about of my 200 plots, I think I'm running about 120 of them. I have about 80 that are just sitting there doing nothing. Really because I was waiting for my Chaos Legion monsters to go onto them. So it's almost about time to go and move them onto the land. And when it happens, I need DEC to do that, obviously. I need a lot, too, because the Chaos Legion monsters are expensive to put onto land. So do I buy a bunch of SPS and then burn it all into DEC if it hits PEG and SPS doubles? Or you just buy DEC when it's 24 cents off? I don't know. Kind of an interesting little token play going on in our ecosystem.
Choices.
I think it's got to be
Obviously,
SPS, right?
Probably.
There's more upside potential, but you need the DEC. DEC is the biggest barrier on land. For me, I've got so many cards that I could, are just waiting to go on land, but they go on slowly because of the SPS barrier. It's freaking 10,000 SPS for a max card. That's
DEC. But
yeah, sorry, DEC. Yeah, 10,000.
Yeah,
DEC.
you started saying SPS all of a sudden. But
10,000 SPS tokens.
But like, yeah, you take
that I
5.
could swing.
You can get 5 max level Chaos Legion legendaries pretty cheap to go put on your land, but then you're like, I got to put 50,000 DEC on that piece of land.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So it's pretty brutal, and so it's gonna. I've always thought land was kind of expensive, but I guess it is supposed to be a long haul.
I guess it was expensive. The plots are cheap, but it's the maintenance is expensive. And gosh, I'm very curious to see once buildings and all that stuff gets in there, just how expensive it becomes.
See that's where my normal DEC pile I have for sales is. It's sitting over there, 4,000 or 4 million DEC just sitting on land.
Woo! Money bags over here. Bam! We got a genuine whale on the I was not aware.
I wish. I did pass 800,000 SPS. I'm up to
nice
821
explosion.
So
that's awesome. Congratulations.
We'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna hit 1 million
here
before too long.
I'm gonna probably get to 1 million, which was my original goal. And then it's like, what do you do? Since it's so cheap? Do you try to get more?
Go for 2.
Yeah,
go for 2. I'm creeping up there.
I have to admit, I felt like I had a lot, and then you go look at that rich list, and you're like, God, those guys have 50 million, 30 million. I'm like, what do you even do with that much SPS? I guess that's why he's doing that crazy promo.
What did Tofu just hit? Was it 42 million?
50.
Did I see?
No, 50. He's over 50. He did that post, and then I replied to him, and it was like a little joke, like, if we get to a dime, what are your plans? I said I was asking for a friend, but I'm just like, is he going to liquidate that bag?
Right.
Those guys are definitely here for the long haul, man. I'm ace. So we have multiple confirmations that Tofu will be coming onto the People's Guild when I think it was 15 cent SPS. I could be wrong. I'm sure he'll correct me in the comments, but I think it was 15 cents. if and when SPS gets there, Tofu will come on, and that will be a question. Just what is the price point at which it's time to
Okay,
start?
well now you let me know that he'll hold to at least 15 cents. So thank you for that.
Well, I know a lot of guys who say if it hits a dime, it'll hit a dollar. And I agree with that, man. If we can get it up to a dime, that's the snowball starts rolling.
Yeah.
How much
You
money
know,
is that?
we're gonna hit the end of SPS inflation soon,
He'd have
hopefully.
us at 15 cents, he'd have $7.5 million worth of SPS.
Holy moly. I
So
almost said
yeah, that
else.
would be, because the thing is that it makes me feel like it's gonna be hard to get there. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, but a lot of us have lived through the $500,000 account, the $1 million account, the SPS bag that was worth 40, 50, 60, $70,000. If we see those numbers again, how many of us are going to be able to not sell again? Because we already didn't sell once to get to where we are now and to have the bags that we have now. Are people going to be able to do that again? I
I
I
don't
I,
know.
I don't think so, but
I mean, the way I look at it is if SPS goes up to those sorts of price points and beyond, I'd be looking to break even and take a little bit off the top. And at that point, I wouldn't have to sell my whole bag, but I would have to sell, obviously Splinterlands would be in a much better, much more exciting place at that point in time if those things do come to fruition. Uh, and I love this game. I love the community. I think with a rising SPS price at that point, I think that would have to mean that there's additional ways to use your cards. Once Rebellion goes into Wild, maybe there's another game mode that you can still continue to use those cards in, and it's
And, and we'd
you're
have an
increasing
expanded
the fun
player base.
factor across the board. Um,
Yeah, it would be in a growth situation. Like if we hit that point, we would have achieved some type of sustainable growth situation. I would
yeah,
hope.
it's definitely
Think.
a hopeful problems to have, right?
Yeah.
Decisions to need to make.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do I take how much do I take off the table? When do I take it off the table? I did okay in Untamed and took about like $30,000 out of the game, and that did fund a lot of my purchases into the game for now, going forward. But um at the same time, eventually, if you see the numbers that big, it's like, oh, it starts to be like that could help, you know, that could pay off my house. So maybe I have to think about what I'm going to do in those kind of situations. So
Got to take something off. You have to. I mean, that's part of the whole play to earn thing is part of it is that, you know,
mm.
taking something out is not extraction. Taking out as much as you possibly can is extraction. I knew people for years, including, some scholars back in the day, going back a couple of years, who they were earning through their scholar thing. They were taking out some money to help with life, and they were putting a lot back into building their own decks and building their own accounts. It was a balance.
I was pretty close. I have 117 lands that are live. I guessed almost correct.
117 what?
Of my lands are rocking, and then of my
Nice.
200. But
Nice. Are they clear? Are they all clear?
oh, I don't know.
You
Maybe I should
throw
go
some
clear
low
those other
PP
80
on there.
pots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if you threw like a freaking single alpha on each of those when land went live, you would have been clear by now. Like you gotta just boom, get
Oh
some
no,
stuff
wait.
on.
I didn't need to clear.
Did you
I
buy
Hey,
bought
improved
time crystals
plots?
or something.
Yeah, no, I bought the building in a box um upgrade so that you could go instantly into a building.
Oh, you still need to clear though.
Yeah, you have to
Well,
clear.
then did I clear them?
You
All my
might have.
things say not constructed.
So you have to go into the
Mm,
interface and try to put a card on, and they'll tell you if it's how much time it either it
okay.
takes to clear or ask what building you want to construct.
I think
Yeah.
you should be able to see on Peak Monsters, dude. If
Oh,
you
okay.
toggle my cards to my land, it will show you. the status of your land, the details?
Man, something I will say, one of the most positive things I've heard in a while is the fact that Aftersound is botting wild and now plays more training mode than anything and loves it. That is
That bodes so
absolutely
well for the future
glorious. That
of the
bodes
game.
so
Yeah.
well. And that bodes incredibly well for getting those TCG people in too. Like if we were to
Yes.
put a little bit of effort into making that really flashy and fun and showcasing this free-to-play version. Hey, get in here and play this freaking fun game and really put like some effort and energy into it. We could easily get tens of thousands of people from the, let's say 10,000 people out of the Magic the Gathering thing. That's not a crazy goal. I don't think that's unrealistic at all. I think that would be easy to do if there was a really fun free-to-play situation. Even like tournaments and stuff that are free, getting people in on the free-to-play version, just luring them in, hooking them on it.
I agree. I mean, the free to play stuff it's at a better place than it has ever been in the history of Splinterlands. Like being able
We
to
just got
play
to
with
focus.
all the cards. Yeah. And it doesn't take,
Yeah.
I've done a fair bit of the training battles, and the dopamine is still there. Like, of course, it's nice to have the
Yeah.
cherry on top with SPS and Glint, but
With 12
you
cents of SPS, bro.
yeah. But it's still about the thrill of the win. Like I don't want to lose. I want to beat my opponent, and I want to learn and improve my game. And I think for the most part, training and challenges satisfies a lot of that, ticks a lot of those
And
boxes.
dude, the thrill of the win is huge. It's what you're talking about, man. We're Steve, were you at Splinterlands or a Splinterfest?
Yeah, I was there.
Do you remember Ginocchio's battle that was on the big screen where it got to the
Yeah,
end?
where with the crazy stuns. Yeah.
Yes, the stun move where he got stunned. Like all he had to do was get one attack in and he won the thing. And the other guy's stun stuck like 4 or 5 times. I think it was 4 times in a row. And just the response of the room, everybody was just like, by the third one, everyone's like, oh, just these wailing. It was insane. It was like crazy live sports. It was that thrill was there, man, and it was addictive, and everyone was watching it, and everyone was into it.
Man, I can hear Mondroid's eyes rolling from RNG dictating the championship right there.
It was just stun, stun, stun.
Four
Oh,
consecutive stuns is just brutal. That is
it
rough.
was
I,
brutal. You
yeah,
just need
I
one hit.
remember like I didn't know what happened when it happened because people were watching them play live and then we watched it on the big screen later.
Mhm.
But I heard first the initial like just the guys that were watching them and surrounding them, they screamed, and then eventually it made it up onto the big screen. And it was the funniest thing because like right before it happens, you thought that other guy was going to win. You're like, oh, he's
Oh
got
yeah,
it, and then bink, 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 bink. You're like, what?
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
such
it
a
was
fun
exciting.
game.
It was
It's such a
real,
fun.
yeah, and it was really exciting.
Let's okay. Let's get back into that because I think this kind of serves as a solid segue for something we were talking about a little bit earlier, and we didn't really dive into it as a potential side effect of Glint replacing DEC on leaderboards and maybe shaking up the current makeup of leaderboard and competitiveness. Because scholars I have very mixed emotions about scholars. On one hand, I think it's brilliant. It's awesome that guys are able to come in, and I think a lot of the very high level scholars are in places like the Philippines and other less fortunate parts of the world, and they can take their earnings and roll that into college tuition or helping out the family, putting meals on the table, and very positive, awesome stuff. But the flip side, if you're scrolling through the leaderboard, there's 50 people that are getting paid out right now. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 7 to 15 scholars that make up 90% of the leaderboard. And it takes away from the fun from guys like you, Stever. It ultimately, I think that's what contributed to me wanting to just say, you know what, F it, I'm gonna hand my account over to a scholar. I think, we see a lot of tofu spam because of it, because tofu just wins consistently, where, somebody like you or me, I just want to have fun. I want to, of course I want to win, but I also want to experiment with new stuff. But when tofu is so dominant, and there's other cards that have been, maybe not quite as dominant, but uh, if there's something that's going to give you an edge, you're not going to try anything else, and I think it ultimately leads to a stagnant meta, which takes away from the fun from guys who are trying to have fun playing this game. So I don't know if the upside of scholars going away outweighs the downside of scholars going away, and because of DEC disappearing. But I think we have to get back to a place where I don't know what the right answer is for scholars, because it is a beautiful thing. It's very fucking cool, and that's one of the unique value propositions that Splinterlands has is the scholar model, and these guys are therefore empowered to essentially be professionals and earn to provide for their families. Uh, what is y'all's take on the scholar model? Has it I think in theory the system is brilliant. In practice, I think we've it's gotten amplified way beyond what I think it should be. Do you guys have a perspective you want to share on that, and what you would like to see as a kind of an ideal outcome?
Yeah, well, like for me, DEC had to come off the leaderboards. I understand how that does hurt this model, but it's been a long time since Matt said we had a flywheel and DEC was only supposed to come from SPS being getting burned or from cards getting burned. Um, and the leaderboard was never said that, hey, DEC was supposed to stay there. It was just kind of left there and ignored because they thought it was not that much DEC, but when people looked into it, a bulk amount of that DEC gets sold. It doesn't get held. So it was a direct downward pressure every end of season on our token that needs to be at par for our little SPS burning wheel to work. So from my point of view, it had to go away because of that. When it comes to the scholar situation, though, I do understand. I love the story of a single scholar playing an account, making some extra money, and being able to help his life out. I didn't like the story of that scholar becoming so good that he went pro and he's playing 5 accounts and he's been getting all 5 in the leaderboard. Because for me, the leaderboard should be for 50 different people, not for 17. Because when I couldn't make it to the leaderboard anymore, when it was absolutely impossible to win any DEC, I turned on a bot, stopped making as many videos, and stopped playing the game manually, even to where I took an entire season off. So you don't want to, I feel like, get to a point where I stop playing and you turn to a scholar. Is that really good? Is a system that does that to us good? I don't think it is.
No,
I think you playing the game
there's no argument. Yeah.
yeah. And so while it's good for those people, I think it's bad for our game.
There could be a balance too. I was just thinking while you were saying that, people like the ability to go pro in Splinterlands would be amazing to actually have something like that. It doesn't have to be by a scholar playing 5 to 10 accounts. Imagine, a scholar type of, I think this idea has been brought up, like a scholar registration situation where there's a board somewhere and we could all look and everyone knows who's playing what account, and scholars can play one account. They could maybe have their own account, maybe play another, because they're growing their account. It's not going to be maxed. That would be another question, but scholars can play one account. But then if we are going more into the esports realm and having like more tournaments and bigger payouts on tournaments and stuff, that scholar could go pro by, kicking ass on the tournament circuit or doing other types of competitive gameplay besides just ranked. Because I do think what you said about, the leaderboard 50 spots should be 50 different people. I do kind of agree that that would be ideal.
I don't
Yeah,
know
it's certainly
in
not as
practice, how
bad
do
as
you
it
get
is
there?
now.
How do you get there?
Well,
Well,
I
you
don't
need
know,
to do
because like
our marketing guy, pushing the hell out of that stuff.
it's
Well,
really
you've got
hard. You'd have to limit a person to only being allowed to play one account on the leaderboard to really make it true. But at the same time, we're a Rev 3 game, so if you could field two accounts with max cards and get two spots, that would be something you could do. But then when somebody else is footing the providing the cards, and then all of a sudden you're playing five accounts where you don't own any of the cards, it's I don't know. It's an interesting thing. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a fun story to be able to tell. To say that one kid, put himself through college or bought a car or has been paying rent for his family for 3 years playing Splinterlands. I mean, any of those stories are absolutely amazing. But if those are the only stories we have at the end of this, because Splinterlands fails, it wouldn't be as much of an amazing story to me, because the
well, it ruined the
leaderboards to
fun.
me,
It took the fun away.
yeah, it took the fun away of Champion. It was no longer, because you couldn't play a weird deck. You couldn't play around with your things because you just lost too much. You
so
were
Battle
always
Scholar
going
playing one
against the
deck.
best meta. So it made the game repetitive at the top. You always had to counter the best things, and you had to have the cards that could counter the best thing, and those were the most expensive cards. So maybe this changes if they do step away, if they no longer play five accounts. Because to me, I don't know how somebody who is playing 3 or 4 or 5 accounts can justify um the time sink for no immediate reward. Like you have to save up glint and buy a title and then hope somebody buys that title, and then eventually get a payout, maybe depending on how expensive these titles are going to be and how long it takes you to get that glint. It's not the same kind of system. Well, and I don't know, like, are you going to pay your scholar DEC to play your account because you're not willing to play it yourself? um I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, because if you bought it in wild and play casually in modern like I do, you make a lot of glint still and a lot of SPS. I pretty much bought it in wild, get to champion 1. I play it casually, get to champion 3 in modern, and my rewards for a season are not terrible. I mean, they're not optimized, but I'm just not even trying to fight up at the top anymore because it just wasn't any fun.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, I think it's going to take a little while to shake out, but I mean, I think the scholar model needs to probably be revisited. I think, from a technical perspective, maybe there's something that we can do where one account can have, yeah, I just don't know what it looks like where, maybe there's something that could be done with keys that can limit. I have no idea. I'm just kind of, brain dumping here, but I completely agree. I think part of the issue is also because ranked is the primary way in which we consume Splinterlands. If there were other game modes, I think it would be a different story. Ranked should be for the best of the best, and that should be like marketing content, right? Like, look how much these people have taken home at the end of the season, sort of thing. And but there's
Mhm.
also a million other ways that you can consume Splinterlands, and right now we just don't have that depth of different game modes that you can play with your cards, play with your bags. Shout out Rogue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next couple seasons. I know that I have my first desire to get my account higher and play a little bit more, if it means I won't be playing the same people when I get up there, and see if that changes. If it's still the same, I'd be surprised, but I haven't really heard from any of the like official, like I just don't talk to those people. You sound like you do a little bit, and you did say that a few of them are saying this is the kind of the last straw for them, and I can understand it. I mean, because you were probably making what, like at least $50? What are they making? Like $100 a season if you were good between
I
all
think
the
the
accounts and your share?
I think it's more of a principle thing and the removal of tangible rewards from the game that these people were like, that's kind of a last straw thing, not like, oh, I'm not going to make an extra couple of bucks per
Well,
season.
that's from the account owner perspective, right, Jimmy? That's not the
Yes,
scholar
yes,
perspective. Yeah.
yes.
And we're
Yeah,
affecting
I
we're
feel
affecting both of those perspectives here with the removal of DEC, right?
Yeah.
it's so funny though, because as an account holder, you're not removing it from me. I never got it.
Yeah,
So
well,
you
me
didn't
neither. I
take
haven't
anything
gotten
away
it in a
from me.
while.
I never got a leaderboard reward. I couldn't do it anymore. So
Hmm.
what are you taking away from me?
Yeah, I did in the
Nope.
past.
Yeah, in the past, but the
Yeah.
point is when it's there, pros showed up to take it from you. So you didn't get it anymore. I didn't get it anymore. He didn't get it anymore. You
Like
had to go rent
expensive
your deck
cards
out
took
to a
it from me.
pro and share it with him. And so
Mhm.
to be honest, I mean, I don't know. It to me, if you're complaining about this, like it got taken away from you, you had a scholar playing your account. So you're
No,
not a real
principle.
player anymore.
More rewards getting taken away, and I like some of these guys are they're arguing is that they're like it's just been this progression of take more away, take more away, take more rewards away, take more rewards away, and every time it happens, it pushes somebody out, and again, it's not like, oh, I'm not going to earn that couple of bucks, because my scholar is playing it. It's more like the principle of like, damn, dude, pretty soon there's not going to be anything, and we're almost at that point, SPS. What was it? $500 a year, 525 a year, $2 a week, was it? We're getting to that point. All of the jackpot stuff is gone. People you can't draw a killer reward card and be psyched. Someone posted in the chat the other day, someone in Tavern drew like this legendary reward card and they were bummed. They're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? That should be like the best thing that could happen when you open a chest. We got to
Yeah.
figure out how to get back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
I can understand that point of view as well. So,
we've heard,
but
yeah,
I feel like there's other things that can be done to answer that than
Yeah.
than leaderboards that pay DEC, which is the one token that we shouldn't be paying, in my mind, because that's supposed to be our token that doesn't inflate unless you burn SPS or you burn cards. So something else is supposed to go away for that token to go up.
It used to be packs on the leaderboards. Back in the day, you could get beta packs on winning the leaderboard spots. I think it was 200 packs at the top.
200 packs.
Yeah,
That
I'd
is
be okay with something like that with packs in the leader. And we're getting glint, and what if packs go into the glint store? Then you are kind of getting packs.
I know
We'll have to see.
there was some
buy it,
talk in
yeah.
the TPG Discord just yesterday or the day before about a potential proposal being worked on to get rebellion packs from the DAO made available for purchase in the Glint shop. I think the price point he was talking about, shout out to our buddy Keeks down in Kiwi land, New Zealand. I think he was talking about 200,000 or 300,000 Glint for a pack, which I mean it's pricey, but for guys that are just stockpiling Glint, it's a worthwhile gamble, I think. If it's out of print, it's there's some really good cards in Rebellion. If you pull a gold foil airdrop card, all of a sudden, you're made in the shade for quite some time there. Yeah, I don't know what the
and
answer
that's
is,
the
man.
kind of
Yeah, that sounds.
that would be a good answer, I think.
I would play
But
devil's advocate though. That sounds like whale handouts because no little guy is going to have 300,000. I have a silver account that bots. I think it gets up to gold or something to diamond. That's the only other account I'm running at this point, and it's not earning much glint. There's no like 300,000 glint. There's no little guy that's going to be getting that. It's just going to be whales, who have been accumulating so much glint you don't know what to do with it. That might pick up some of those packs. Plus,
Well, and
I would bet money that proposal would not pass. I would bet
yeah,
money on that.
probably. Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I don't know. I mean, that goes to, I think the team, and the same holds true in my opinion for the voucher shop. It drives me crazy that it's just one card that's available for
Oh,
vouchers.
yeah.
There should be a multitude of things like, skins and backgrounds and sound effects and music and, you name it.
Explosions,
Why
sound
not put it
effects,
available
explosions. Yes.
for sale in the voucher shop? Like,
No,
you're not going to spend.
absolutely, man.
Yeah, like it should be exclusive stuff. If you're collecting vouchers, it means you're well invested in the game through SPS, or you're supporting the validator network or something like that.
Hmm.
I think most folks are probably going to be keen to part ways with those vouchers and just have the additional options there. And I think the same is true for the glint shop. Like I want to see a whole bunch of different stuff. I want to see previous reward sets available for maybe a more expensive glint purchase. And this is something else that, I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
like that idea.
has been aired out very much in the content creator space, is the reward cards. I have long been of the stance that we should be seeing, I hate that I know Rebellion reward cards are probably going to be hitting that year mark, and we're not going to hear a whisper around the new reward set. But what does that look like for the new player? Any new guy who comes in now, they're all of a sudden going against max reward cards that they have no way of ever catching up, with the exception of
Uh-huh.
dropping a massive chunk of cash into the 20x multiplier. Um, so
It's a permanent barrier.
yeah, I want to see reward cards get chopped into, maybe 20%, 25%, and slowly dripped out. Maybe we get a batch of 5 or 10 cards made available every quarter. You can stack what you will, and then, we proceed on to the next batch, but the previous batch is still available for a little bit more of a glint expenditure, something like that makes it more fair, and you're not always left trying to catch up on 50 reward cards when the rest of the player base has been stacking and maxing their cards out.
I like that idea. Especially since they're soul bound, you can't get rid of them. And new players are going to need access to that. You need it if you want to be competitive in modern, and you shut out from the previous set reward cards, you're screwed. That is a disincentive right
Yes.
there. Anyone who
Yeah.
actually wants to be competitive, they look at that, they're going to be like, "What? Why? Why bother?" You know,
Mm.
like right now, I still come up. I still face Izzyar all the freaking time. It's a meta card, and if a new player comes in and can't get something like that, or can't get Olivia, or a Commander Slade, it's like, what can you do? You can literally can't be genuinely competitive without those cards.
Yeah.
So and it's
Yeah.
glint. It's not on the market. It's soul bound. So it's like, why not let them? Why not sell it for glint so all players have access to it?
And
That'd
I
be
would love to see it.
interesting.
Oh, go ahead, Stever.
Well, but aren't the rewards cards, in theory, the fact that they can be unlocked and can be in demand, supposed to, in theory, be that other piece of, monetization, of prizes that you're making?
In theory, they're just way
But
too expensive. They're
the
way too
problem, I
expensive.
think, is the unlock is way too expensive.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather see a proposal to look at that again, rework that, lower it. And the other thing I'd like to see, um, I'd like them to stop this idea that they need to put the risk on my plate. Like, I have a gold ZR. Why do I have to take the risk to unlock it, hoping that somebody wants to buy it? Why can't I just list it, and the unlock price would be paid by the purchaser, because they're going to end up paying it anyways, in theory, unless you totally blew it and you end up liquidating it under your unlock price. So they're trying to force, they're trying to play this game where speculators unlock early and then sell late when the unlock is more, because the card price is naturally driven up in theory. But I don't feel like that's working very well. I feel like if all of us could price and just sell our cards for $2 or $3 over unlock price, there's a lot of people that would just sell them for two or three over unlock price, and then somebody would come in and they'd have to pay $3 worth of DEC plus the unlock price, and they'd grab that card off your account, from you. And
I love that idea. I mean, I completely agree, and I think I called it out when Chaos Legion reward cards were cycling out that, we're being asked to assume that the new players are going to come in and represent the demand to justify me unlocking now. And it's not a small penny that you got to drop to unlock the cards. So I love the idea of, and I know Blaze has been hard at work trying to get a trade hub in place where I can put cards up that I'm playing with. Maybe they're still locked, they're still in my active playing deck, but I can list them as, hey, I'm available for offer on these cards. It doesn't feel like too much more of a leap forward to say, hey, I've got a gold foil Iziar. Uh, I'm gonna list it, but it's up to you to pay the difference on getting that sucker unlocked and move over to your account. And at the end of the day, I don't think I don't feel any of this should be on the DAO. The team needs to take a hard look at the numbers,
agreed,
and reassess and what is best for the game, what is best for the new players, what is best for the guys that have been here for years supporting Splinterlands.
yeah, and I'll even give them a little thing they could do, because that would be kind of a in between a tiny bit. Maybe instead of 1 DEC to list this card, it's like 100. Or something like that, because at that point you're listing a card that somebody has to unlock. That way the market doesn't get too flooded with them. There are plenty of people that own a ton of rewards cards, so there would definitely be everybody, you don't want every single rewards card going up for sale for like 10 cents
DEC.
over
Yeah.
unlock
No, that's
price,
fair.
right?
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Put a
Yeah,
speed bump in there.
so you could have a little extra cost in listing them that would require people to actually there to be some demand there or something. Because it's really ridiculous when I go and look at some of these gold foil rewards cards I have, and I'm like, do I want to pay? What is it? I'll go look really quick.
$125 to or 125,000 DEC for GFL.
Right there. And so
and I'm
do
sitting
I really
on
want to pay like
$100
to unlock this card, hoping that somebody will buy it for like 150? And then if they don't, because I did have one bad experience with this. I unlocked the gold foil epic, the green one with the sneak attack, and then Tofu came out.
Oh no!
And
you made it useless.
I was like, this card is useless. Nobody wants it.
Well, enter
I was
Fizbo.
the only one trying to sell it, but nobody wanted to buy it. Fizbo helped a bit with that, but the problem with Fizbo is he was expensive and like one of the later releases, so I don't think as many people got that card. People had spent too much money on the early promos.
Yeah. Something else I want to see in the reward shop is maybe a 24-hour limit on, today the card special is a regular foil Commander Slate, and you can buy up to 25 of them, and that's it. And then the next day it's another card that's listed. Being able to individually target on like a rolling basis, it's all soulbound anyways. I think I just want to see some greater breadth
I would love
of
to see a
creativity
calendar too. Like just give your calendar at the start of the month, and like every Sunday it's a special card, and that way if you're somebody who's playing the game, you're like, crap, I need this much more glint, and they're buying DEC because this card's going on sale tomorrow, and I know it's going on sale tomorrow, and I really want to buy.
The urgency. Yes.
Yeah, I really want to buy those copies.
That's a great call, because Jimmy and I, we were talking about this 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that, where all I need is one more gold foil Iziar to have a max gold foil Iziar, but I'm not going to spend the glint to just chance it because everything else is maxed. So if I can see on the calendar that hey, next Sunday gold foil Izziar is going to be available for purchase on Glint, maybe it's 1,000,000 Glint per, it's still worth it to spend and to save that Glint to purchase that card, because otherwise you're just, throwing darts blind, wasting probably well more than 1,000,000 Glint trying to get that bloody card into your account anyways.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea. It's just being
Yeah.
creative. I think we haven't been creative with rewards.
Yeah.
It's a matter of just being creative and coming up with a lot of these good ideas here. Came up with like what, a handful of great ideas in just a few minutes, just brainstorming this stuff right now. Get the community involved and get all types of people brainstorming stuff. There's a lot of ways to actually make it kind of work.
Well, as a lot of, the community has a lot of different ideas. And I know you can go to Clay to get them to sponsor your proposal, but do you think we should look into lowering the price of the proposals? Is it too expensive to not maybe like would you rather them be 25,000? So in theory, you'd always have 3 or 4 to vote on, or is that too many? Just because you wouldn't be able to keep up with everything people are trying to do, and they wouldn't be able to do
I
it
would
all
like to
anyways.
see, I want to see less proposals. I think the proposal situation should be back to where it's SPS. The DAO controls SPS related things, and that's pretty much it. I don't like the way that this has been pushed. The game has been pushed to DAO proposals. I don't like that at all. I don't think
Yeah,
it's
but
healthy.
that genie's out of the bag. Matt
It's
absolutely
not all you
said.
get. Well, Matt, he could stop it.
Well, he
We'd
could
actually
stop it,
gotten
but
to
but when
yeah.
when you did the proposal to change the summoner, he absolutely said they would change it if it passed.
Well, he
And
was
so
also
he
super
opened the
excited about the precedent of, hey, the
yeah.
DAO is sticking its toes into the world of game. I mean, we talked a lot about it with Rogue last week. I addressed it in a couple of Peak Deep posts over the last few months, and I think we are going to see a different future with Conclave Arcana kind of representing the first of its kind, where community testing is properly done. Hopefully, we catch 99.9% of the broken stuff, and if there's some sort of framework in the system where, because at the end of the day, the DAO is the employer here. I think we should have every right to dictate, hey, if the team is delivering broken cards, it's on the team to fix the cards. I don't care how you do it, and that's where I feel like the DAO shouldn't be. That was the downfall of the Nidhogger proposal, was we had to propose what are the fixes. Where I think what
Yeah,
should
that
have happened, what I think should have happened is, this card sucks, fix it. And you've got
fix it.
carte
Yeah.
blanche to fix it. Yeah.
That's realistic, and that's because the
Yeah.
DAO paid for it. That makes sense, and that would be in the purvey of the DAO, saying, "Hey, we paid to have this card come out. Someone paid to have it made. It's broken. Fix it."
Yes.
And not dabble their toes further into the game of saying this is how you fix it. I do
Yeah.
think that's where it got sketchy.
Mm. But to your point, Steve, I don't know if more DAO proposals, I kind of agree with Jimmy. I would like to see less DAO proposals that are more meaningful. And instead, I would like to see an alternative route to getting ideas in front of the community. If I could pay 25,000 DEC to make a poll, uh, do we think the team should revisit the reward card glint shop, for example, and introduce, A, B, C, D, E, F, choose all of the options that you would like to see. That sort of stuff, I think, is really, really meaningful. That's what I would love to see become available to DAO voters. Because the DAO proposal, it's so black or white, and it makes it really difficult to put. That's what makes it so difficult to push things across the line, is because it's yes or no. Whereas if you start to introduce like more poll survey type stuff, and there's still a bottleneck that you've got to, squeeze through in terms of, maybe it's 10,000 DEC to publish a poll. If it's built into the game and we're just looking at overall community sentiment, that's a completely different story. And it gives a very fair reference point for the team to say, hey, the community feels strongly about this, and that. We should reconsider. That's what I think. To me, it sounds like that's what you're trying to achieve with what you're suggesting, Steve, and that's kind of what I would like to to envision come to fruition for DAO voters.
Yeah, that could be kind of interesting if they had a system like that. I just think of all the times that I've heard good ideas on this show and they don't make it to proposals and they don't enter the game. And I'm wondering if the price tag is why people don't propose those, or is it really the level of work to ferret it out all the way?
It's exhausting, man. I think we've done
Yeah.
TPG has done 3 proposals, and it's like the politics behind the scene that's a lot. I don't want to have to do that.
I do understand that you have to go and talk to the big accounts and get their blessing. Otherwise, it's like not worth it to even do it. And that's where, you know, a cheaper proposal, maybe you wouldn't go talk to them and you'd just be like, you know what, if you want to shut this down, you're going to have to go shut it down, and then we're going to know you shut it down, and that's going to be on you. You know, that's your reputation. You become the guy that's known for shutting down everything we want to do, and they have to live with that, as opposed to them shutting it down in a back room. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still, I know there's lots of folks that say, oh, the DAO is a failed experiment, and oh, the DAO is what is it, Dowenstein, all this sort of stuff. I think there's still tremendous upside for the DAO. I think it's really freaking cool what we have available here. You know, I'm fully bought into to Matt's idea of the DAO.
Yeah, the DAO has become kind of self-funding, which is impressive when it comes to the DEC to the team, the sales getting them more DEC than they gave it back to it. So in theory, the DAO keeps getting richer in the DEC tokens. As long as that keeps working, it's a very interesting story to tell. Now, the governance part of the DAO is a different part when it comes to, you know, getting the things in and getting the voting, and maybe too much power having ended up in a couple hands. But those guys put up the money. I mean, if I wanted to, you know, have that kind of sway, I would need to go invest the thousands of dollars it would cost to get up to, like, you know, 10 or 20 million SPS. So
just sell your house and rule Splinterlands. And dictate what happens. You can do it, man. Whoa,
Mrs. Robinson's going to be on board for that one. President and the First Lady of Pretoria.
I mean, I was thinking the other day, I came to the realization that I think the company might not exist without the DAO. I think the DAO saved the company from bankruptcy and being able to continue. Like, if you look like
several times,
Cryptomancer, we've been paying employees several times. I don't think the game would exist without the DAO right now. I think we would have gone under. So there's that.
But I do feel like Matt set up the DAO to be able to do that because it was his vision. Because we got a sweetheart deal in the Rebellion launch. And I don't know exactly. I haven't seen all the numbers yet on the next deal.
And save the company. You know, it's like it's a symbiotic thing. It's not just like, you know, one-sided. That was definitely a two-sided deal. You know, but you know, it's something that I think people need to talk about positively. That's the Splinterlands DAO has been around. It's funded. Oh yeah, that was my whole
Rebellion sale. It's funded the promo cards, and every time it's done that, it's gotten more money back. Because the player base was able to come in and buy enough assets for Splinterlands.
I'm gonna catch you there. Let's be clear on the promos. There's some twisting.
Okay, well, the promo happening. And the auction card.
They threw the auction in there because the promos were doing horrible sales, way less than anticipated. The DAO would have lost. So the auction card, they did throw it in there, and I'm glad they did. But the promo did not.
Yeah, but. Did you get a check back that was bigger than the check you sent out? Yes. The terms changed a little bit.
They changed the terms.
It was one check. They sent one payment back, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And it was bigger. Not by much, though, right? Not the same kind as the old ones.
No, not by much.
I do agree with you, though. The promos maybe shouldn't be talked about as a complete success. They were expensive.
Or not a success.
They were cool, but
they put up competition barrier too, man. I know people who have stopped playing because of the promo cards. Like, literally, people who were on the leaderboards who were kicking ass, who were just like, I can't afford these promo cards. I'm stopping competitive play. It's a two-edged sword right there, man, because they were
Well,
way too expensive.
I saw Silence come out and say, I think it was in Tavern, maybe Card Collectors, say something to the effect of the promo cards should be available for the promo sale, and then some iteration of the promo cards should make it into packs, which is my
Ooh.
knee-jerk reaction was nobody would buy the promo cards. But then I started to think about, at promo card prices. But then I started to think about it. What if, I mean, if the promo cards were like really exclusive foil and they offered additional bonus that doesn't exist on any other iteration of that card, all of a sudden you kind of got something. Like,
Yeah, the collector element kicks in, and that's
yeah.
important. That's something we have not been taking advantage of. That's something we've been overlooking to our detriment. There's a huge collector element to this whole TCG thing. Huge.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you guys think we're getting mint numbers somehow in Arcana? Because
Uh,
Matt mentioned something in the last town hall that he said they weren't quite ready to say would be there. And then we had mint numbers on what's her name,
Eloise.
Eloise. So if the next set has mint numbers, that changes things quite a bit.
I think the chaser cards, if I'm hearing things correctly, and this might not be 100% right, but I believe the chaser cards are supposed to have mint numbers. Not every card in the deck at this point, but there's going to be some exclusive chasers that would be minted or numbered.
So is that a new? And it's funny you asked that, Steve. I just published the first TPG challenge in a couple of months, and that was the prompt. Is what do you think Matt was alluding to with the collector's comments? And there's been some interesting ideas that have been submitted. I'm going to submit mine here in the next couple of days, but yeah, I wonder if that means exclusive. Like we've heard calls for uh exclusive foils that are fully maxed out when you pull them, which all of a sudden, really changes the expected value on your regular packs. If you have the chance, even if it's a hardy stonefish, and you get a one of one hardy stonefish that's fully maxed and it's like prismatic foil and blah blah blah, one of one, there's going to be a market for that, and that's going to change the game of opening packs. And yeah, so I don't know what it's going to look like, but those are some of the calls that I have heard for the collector aspect on Conclave Arcana and forward.
And unique battle graphics. It would have an
Yeah,
explosion
I
every
mean,
time it
the
hits
easy thing
target.
they could add that I would think the other thing is that would have mint numbers is a card like Eloise just put into the packs. So only 100 copies put into the packs. They're numbered and only 5 of them are gold foil. So it's like
That'd
an
be awesome.
Eloise within the packs.
That'd be
That
cool.
would do so much
Yeah.
for pack sales.
Yeah, I mean that
I
change.
mean,
Like I said, that
that
changes the
might get me
equation
to buy
on
more
EV.
packs. I have to admit. So
And I will say I really liked the. I didn't participate, so this is purely perspective as an outside observer to the GLS pack opening. I think they had something like if you open your packs before 6 weeks after the launch, you have X percentage chance of pulling gold foil, and X percentage chance of pulling legendary. And the longer you waited, the more those variables went down, and you had less of a chance to do that. I don't know, that doesn't speak well to not to the new players, right? Because anybody who comes in for Conclave Arcana in August, they're going to be at a disadvantage there. But something like that, where the variable changes in terms of when you purchase your pack or how you purchase your pack, or yeah, I would just it comes back down to what we were talking about with the glint shop. I just want to see greater creativity in all of this stuff. And I think, Matt demonstrated some of that by coming out and saying, hey, we got legendary packs, we got gold foil alchemist packs, we got starter packs. So it's a step in the right direction. But I think given the very cool technology that we're operating on, the sky's the freaking limit, man. I want to see some really cool levers get pulled for Conclave Arcana and forward.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see something a little bit extra put back into the packs, especially because, as you alluded to before, our packs are not cheap. They're very expensive. If you're gonna try to get me to, instead of playing the market and doing the way that over history has been proven to let me get the cards I want at a cheaper price, the cookies inside there have to be good. And the problem with the airdrop system, the one problem with it is it makes those early cookies not as good. You can't pull legendary gold foil summoners um from packs unless you wait to open your packs until the set's almost over. So then you're not playing with your cards. So
I wonder if we're
That's
going
where
to
the
see
airdrop
folks take that
mechanic
approach.
kicked in.
Yeah.
That's where the airdrop mechanic kicks in. You know, if you open early and then stake, that kind of
yeah,
balances
I
it out.
guess in
The other
theory you
people.
you do get them given to you if you stake your cards. So they are there, but you don't get to open them.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
know, and
not.
that's so much
Yeah,
fun, man. Opening packs
yeah.
is that's something that gets overlooked too. How much fun and how addicting it is actually opening packs. It's so much fun. I mean, there's literally an explosion when you do it every time.
I will say, man, the creative team, they have to fix the I still see folks screenshotting their legendary saying, "Oh, I pulled a gold foil legendary," and then there's
Oh
like
man,
five comments
that's
that say,
yeah.
"Oh, that's not a gold foil. Sorry."
It's
Like, oh,
brutal, man. It was such an
the,
oversight. They've done so many great things, but that was a one terrible change, I have to say. Like the
it's got to
glow
be
around
different.
the all these
Yeah, it's
cards.
got to be
It
unique.
doesn't look good. It looks ganky. I hate to say it. It looks janky. It's like, this it looks like something from I don't know, 30, 40 years ago where it's like these two things are just shifting and it's supposed to be flames. I mean,
Yeah,
they've
it
again,
got me the
yeah,
first time I saw it after they changed it, and
yeah.
I opened like a legendary and the rewards cards. I'm like, oh, cool, a gold one, and I was like, wait, that's not gold.
That's not gold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, the
that way
legendary
to
in
kick
particular
you while you're
is
down, man.
brutal.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I
That creates
expect
another
feel bad. Is that
no
what you're
go
gonna say?
like you expect well, I was saying it creates another bad feeling, you get the euphoria of a gold foil legend and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, 10 people just shit on your parade. Yeah, sorry,
Wah,
bro.
wah. Yeah, you're all
That's
posting it,
not
you're all
gold foil.
psyched. You're like, oh, you're like,
Yeah, I expect the team to take a little bit of a different approach in the aesthetics of gold foil because you really have to know what you're looking for with Rebellion. The frames just the tone of the color is not different enough for gold foil to really pop. Uh,
yeah. I see what they were going for, but it doesn't pop. It blends in too much. It's a cool
yeah,
rustic look, and it's more lucky. But people who collect gold foil like gold foil shiny and bright. They're showing it off. Actually, Vug disagreed with me. I think you were there. We were talking that chat the other day. One time
yeah,
we've agreed in a long time. I was like, dude, gold foil needs to freaking pop. It needs pizzazz. It needs to be like, here's my gold foil cards, and it
yeah,
does.
yeah. I agree.
Up through chaos, up through untamed. All those gold foils were great back in the alpha beta days. The actual gold edge kind of worked into the image of the card itself. There was kind of like a little filter that it kind of faded into the actual card.
They do have a chance to fix that with the glint system for gold foil, maybe making the
Glamour,
cards look.
glamour stuff.
Yeah, or the glamour system. Yeah, said the wrong word, wrong G word there.
Make your gold foil card better
Yeah.
with glamour.
Better looking. Matt has also said maybe even make them better, but I think he kind of
Just
backed off
different.
of that statement.
I
Yeah, I
think
don't want it to affect
functionally
gameplay.
different is such a cool. I mean, I think the Oceanus idea is the one that kind of keeps popping up. If I can sacrifice, two magic damage for two speed to, have a different aesthetic and skin on Oceanus, it's a cool concept. I like the idea of being able to manipulate stats with glamour stuff. I don't know if that's still what they want to pursue, but
Is
I
that
don't
game
know if
breaking though?
well, I don't know if it's necessarily better. It's just it's different, right? It would still fit
Is
within
that
the
game breaking though?
I don't know.
I mean, getting Oceanus two more speed, then you just can't hit him. He doesn't need to attack. You just can't hit him.
Well, I mean, that gives somebody like Squirrel greater value, right?
True Strike.
True
Yeah,
Strike
yeah,
is there.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's some cool options there. I think, we're for we did offer a little bit of the full spectrum of, frustration and bearishness, and also bullishness and excitement for what's to come. I think, we're all still here for very good reason. I think we're all hopeful and kind of sitting on bated breath with what's to come. It's going to be a really big next 3 to 6 months. We'll definitely know where we're standing in Web3 and the future of Splinterlands come, July, August, September. And I think collectively everybody is feeling excited and hopeful and anxiously and anticipating what this stuff looks like. So, whew, here we go. Buckle up.
Buckle
Y'all,
up, kids.
and I agree with you. I'm feeling more hopeful than I have. That town hall was really good. I'm definitely, the one thing is, let's hope they can keep us hopeful, because now we got to wait 3 weeks before I hear him talk again. So
That's true.
Let's go, guys. More communication, team. Keep us excited. So
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Let's put a bow on this thing. We've been jibber jabbering for the last 2.5 hours. Time sure flies. I'm glad that we're Stever. I'm glad to see you back, man. As we started the conversation, I was kind of waiting for you and waiting for Infidel to get the episodes going again, and we beat you to it just by a day. But here we are. Good to see you back, Jimmy. Always wonderful to have you co-pilot in these things with me, man. Thank you.
A lot of fun, man. Thanks. And Steve, you look great with the shaved mustache, I do have to say. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh,
oh
shoot.
man,
Full
Very
circle
handsome.
there.
yeah. It's always great to be here. It's good that you guys are back. Me and Bebe's been doing a lot of different stuff. He's less available, but we're going to be trying to make our shows and just coming up with things and doing it as often as I can. And I'm going to try to get back into making some regular videos. I'm definitely going to document a little bit my attempt to get back to Champion 1 and see how it goes. So we'll
Nice.
see how that all ferrets out with this change of the leaderboards. Can I get on the new leaderboard? Would be interesting to see.
Well,
It's more places.
last thought on the leaderboard stuff, and I meant to bring this up. As soon as Conclave Arcana comes out, I bet the leaderboard looks completely different, because there's a lot of new names there that are playing with rented cards. And I would guess a lot of those rented cards are going to go right back to conflict wagons, which should shake up the leaderboard even further at that point.
Ooh, and that's a whole nother thing, man. Rebellion on conflict wagons to get airdrop for Carne Asada. That's a touchy thing, man.
Well, yeah, I wish we had gotten into it. Conversation for next time, but
next time.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys. Any final words, Jimmy? Stever?
Explosion. I should say
Nah,
for the end. I did it at the wrong time.
If you're still here, don't leave yet, I would say.
Yeah, not yet. If you've hung out this long, hang out just a little while longer, because things have the potential to really turn around, man. If we do it right, this could be one of the best games on the planet.
Indeed. No better words to round out this episode with. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you next week. Check out the TPG challenge on Peak D Hive, wherever you consume your Hive blogs. Go check it out. Submit something. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We will catch you next time. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.